All righty. Well, I am glad that y'all showed up for What If Wednesday. I posted in the community today what we were going to be talking about just to get curious about you. I have been putting together just the roots of olive groves, and I appreciate you all as founding members as we sort of explore these different types of topics to see what fits and see what doesn't fit. And so I'm going to toss out some questions and things. And these run a little bit more of me kind of asking questions and you all reflecting on things a little bit for yourself. And so our theme for December is really about when I say rooted. I very much appreciate a metaphor and looking at how we really root ourselves in personal growth and professional development. And curiosity is one of those themes. And so instead of talking about being curious at work and asking questions and meeting people, I want you guys to think about getting curious about yourself. Personally, I am doing that through StrengthsFinder coaching certification, and I'm really excited about it. So more to come with that because I would love for you all to let me do some practice sessions on you as founding members. And so think about that as you're getting curious about yourself and if you've done strengths finders before. But what I have noticed is really that we ask a million questions about external things. Should I go to a new job? Should I say yes to this opportunity? What is my next step? But my entire goal with Olive Groves is really to get you all to really think introspectively and who am I? What matters to me? What am I good at? So that when you are grounded in that, then you can make your next decision by knowing what those core values are. And so if you've gone through some parts of Monday Morning Joy and you all are at kind of different stages of that, the second week is really focused on core values because if you can start to make decisions about what matters to you based on those core values, every little decision doesn't seem so exhausting. And so I don't want you to get curious about who you're going to be in 5 years. Or who you were. It is who are you right now? Because that is very different depending upon where you're at and what stage of life that you're in, and what type of role that you might have. So let's shift a little bit into um, what I'm doing from a Clifton Strengths perspective is that most of us don't actually know ourselves as well as we think we do. I am even a person who has gone through every assessment in the book because I am just so curious about my own self. And we know our job title, our responsibilities, we know what our resume says about us, but do we really understand what we value? And there are a lot of people who don't take the time to really think about what do you value deeply, not what we think we should, because if you get into a case of the shoulds, that's never going to go anywhere good. Um, do we know what our natural strengths are? Because in case you're curious, you all have them. Um, these are just things that we just do so naturally that we sometimes don't even realize that they're actual gifts, but they are. And so I want you to think about um, how maybe what this year has revealed to you about yourself. How have you grown? How have you changed? What has surprised you? And just the end of the year can be so intense with, oh, let's hustle and do this. And you got to finish strong and you got to do, no, you don't. No, it sometimes the year is exhausting and sometimes the year has been a lot. And so just be gentle with yourself, and think about if you knew more about yourself, that your decisions might get a little bit easier because they're filtered through your values, they're filtered through the strengths that you have. You're going to protect your energy a little bit more because you're going to be able to spot what is happening with that energy when you get depleted. So you're going to know what depletes you and what fuels you. And that might sound a little bit, if you've never done this work, it can be uncomfortable because you're thinking, like, why do I need to pay attention to that? Well, when you truly understand yourself and you can live in the flow of your life with what feels good, your confidence is going to grow. Everything else feels more aligned, and you're not constantly fighting against yourself. And I think as women, because this is a community of women, when we start to protect our energy, when we start to show up authentically, everything in our ethos starts to change without you having to change everything. So let's dig into these sort of three components about what I want you to get curious about. And I already mentioned that StrengthsFinder is one of them. And those are what comes naturally to you. And StrengthsFinder is an assessment. Um, I can talk more deeply about that one-on-one if you guys want to, but I want to just share with you what my own strengths are. After I have taken the StrengthsFinder assessment actually three different times in over the course of my career. One was about 15 years ago. I was not a manager at the time. I would say I was in at that time in my life grinding to move forward, wanting to do all the work. That wasn't a good thing for me, but it's what I was doing. The second time was about 2 years ago or so, and I was part of a leadership team. And then this last time, I just took it about 2 months ago after shifting into this work, knowing that StrengthsFinder was something that I loved and felt so passionate about. Um, but my perspective has changed based on what I've gone through for the last couple of years. So my top five, the first one is woo. The second one is positivity, communication, developer, and achiever. Some of those have stayed the same from years ago. I have consistently been an achiever, somebody who likes to do a whole bunch of things. No shocker there to any of you that know me. Communication seems to be something that sticks around. I love to present and love to talk to people and put things into words. I was shocked that, not shocked, but when I see the word woo, and for CliftonStrengths, it talks about winning others over is actually what WOO stands for. Well, it's more about how can I meet as many people as possible and make them feel part of something. And I want to introduce people. Well, I mean, it's why I love building community and connecting others. My developer strength, that is something that I never would have thought 10 years ago would ever have shown up because I was not somebody that wanted to manage people or develop others. I was very much like, I don't want to be responsible for somebody else. But how my life has shifted and the roles I've been able to have, that developer piece is really why coaching and community and seeing the potential in others and wanting to help you all move forward. That's where that's come up. And then I already talked about achiever. So, but what has helped me with this is that Clifton Strengths gives you language to be able to understand why you're doing these things. And you may not even see these things as good. And I can tell you, I have this on a little post-it note here that I can see there are other parts of me that I can see. Yes, I can see that there's good in this, but man, if I'm too far in the woo or the positivity piece, I, my household is like, Mom, you don't need to say hi to everyone that you meet in the grocery store. We don't need to have a conversation. Mom, you do not everybody. There's something that I say to my kids all the time, which is, okay, make a new friend today or say hi to someone. And they're like, no, today's not the day for that. I don't need to be positive. I don't want to talk to this person. So that's when I know that I'm going overboard because that's not their strengths either. But so Clifton Strengths is one, core values is another, and that is week 2 of Monday Morning Joy. If you have never identified, and when I say core values, another thing that people might think about is beliefs. And I don't want you to associate these with some of them for you may be religious beliefs that you live and really guide all of your decisions. But even if you are not a religious person, you do have a set of core beliefs that's driving your decisions on a daily basis, your where you want to go. You may not know that they're guiding them, but once you start to name them and really think about it, it helps you to really narrow down what you're doing and just get over those decision making humps that I feel like we have to make so many decisions every single day. So when you get curious about those core values, and like I said, that's week 2 of Monday Morning Joy, you start to figure out, what do I care about most deeply? What have I felt? When have I felt most aligned or fulfilled? What am I unwilling to compromise on? And this is the part where I say, what are your non-negotiables? And I've talked about this in previous episodes, or previous workshops, but um, two of my top core values are purpose and joy. And you all see the joy sprinkled around. And Julie posted a picture this week of a sprinkled sweatshirt, if you saw that, because seeing rainbow sprinkles just brings me joy. Eating rainbow sprinkles brings me joy. But purpose, I can go back throughout my entire existence and tell you, when I was struggling the most, it was when I didn't understand what my purpose was, or I was losing focus on what that is. And so I need a purpose, even if that purpose is the person who does the dishes every night, which my husband wishes that that was my purpose, but it's not. And so, or that my purpose is making sure that that I am the person that is in charge of the household and cleaning and those types of things. I don't do that well, but if that is my purpose for the week, when Scott is traveling or when kids are out, and that is my purpose, I know I can do that because I know that that's what's assigned for me. But my greater purpose is to work with others and really working with women. There was a time when my purpose, when I took time off of work, of full-time work when my kids were younger, that my purpose was to be their mom and to be engaged in the community and helping them. And now I'm launching them, which is super cool. But that purpose changes, right? If you have kids who are older, they don't need you to tell them what to do. They need you to coach them on where they're at. It is not my job to solve Logan's problem or solve Meredith's problem. It's to ask them questions about, well, how are you going to handle that? What's going on? What are you feeling about this? And pushing back on them. And so that purpose, I need some sort of purpose. And then I think the third thing you can do to really understand yourself, and again, foundations of Olive Grove, reflect. Reflection is so important. And I don't know that I fully realized that until maybe the last couple years, when I sit down and write about things. And I got a new journal with my new planner, came a free, we're going to call it included because Scott never says anything is free, it's always included. But this journal is called Meet Yourself. And it's got, and I have been writing in it as I've been going through my um, with my new planner, to really reflect on this past year. As someone who has studied learning science and understands cognition a little bit, if you can remember and force yourself to think about, well, how did that really go? And really sit down and be intentional with it, you're really going to see where maybe you need more boundaries. Maybe you need more rest. One day when I started writing about all the things that was happening and that I wanted to accomplish before the end of the year, it was like, yeah, Heather, that's not going to happen. It's just not. But in my head, if I'm not thinking about it in that collective way, if I'm not sitting down and reflecting, I'm never going to get there. So, um, I, what I would like for you all to do is pick one of those things and get curious about that this week. I want you to either, if you're going through Monday morning joy, stay focused on your core values. If you have done CliftonStrengths in the past, pull those back out. If you're a person that it's December, it's time to just, I don't want to do anything new, Heather. I just want to just reflect on where we've been this year, then do that. But I want you to find one of those things and figure out how you can focus on yourself, to really see what has 2025 revealed for you. What surprised you about yourself? What felt most authentically you? And again, it can happen in any of these ways. If it's the core values piece, if it's CliftonStrengths, or if it's just a general reflection about 2025. But I think it's important to really focus on yourself, and especially during holiday time. Um, if you have family that's close or family that's far away, if you gather with friends, if you have work commitments, the end of the year, it doesn't matter who you are, what your role is, or what your family friend situation is. The end of the year always feels just, it can feel great. It can feel messy. I would invite you to slow down and don't put a whole lot of expectation on yourself, but just commit to thinking about yourself. Because as women, we don't do that enough. And if you're getting there in that practice of doing it, it will feel more natural. And so I think that it's important that curiosity about yourself is not about self-judgment. It's foundational to know what you value, what you're naturally good at, and who you're becoming. So as you are picking one of those activities, I would love for you to share something in the community about that. What is a core value that showed up for you? What is a strength that you're recognizing? Or what is something that 2025 has revealed for you? But just getting curious about yourself.